We're more polarized than ever. Conversations have turned into shouting matches. Opposing ideas feel like threats, not something to debate. But here's something many people don't realize. Privacy and surveillance have everything to do with it. In this video, I want to explore how surveillance is the key to polarization. Ultimately, it's the engine that makes platform-driven polarization work. Platforms have one overriding goal: to keep us online as long as possible. And they've learned that nothing hooks us like outrage. If they can rile us up, we will stay, scroll, and click. Outrage drives engagement. Engagement drives profit. But this doesn't just keep us scrolling, it also pushes us further apart. Now here's where surveillance comes into play. The more that platforms know about us, the easier it is to feed us the content that will push our buttons, confirm our biases, and keep us in a cycle of anger. These platforms are not neutral spaces. They are giant marketplaces where influence is bought and sold. Every scroll, every feed, every recommended post is shaped by algorithms built to maximize engagement and auction off your attention. And it's not just companies pushing shoes or handbags. It's political groups paying to shift your vote. It's movements paying to make you hate certain people because you think that they hate you. It's hostile governments paying to fracture our society. Because our lives are so transparent to the surveillance machine, we're more susceptible to manipulation than ever. Polarization isn't cultural drift. It's intentional. So here's the formula. Surveillance is completely integrated into everything we do online. The more that different entities learn about us, the easier we are to manipulate. With countless agendas competing against each other in this space, polarization is a natural outcome. Let's take a moment to really look at this manipulation. The internet is a manipulation machine. Few people are really aware of just how much manipulation there is online. We all fancy ourselves to be independent thinkers. We like to think that we make up our own mind about things, that we choose for ourselves which videos to watch next, that we discover interesting articles all on our own. We want to believe that we're in control, but we're in a system where people are constantly paying to influence us. So that independence is really hard to defend. The reality is, our autonomy is far more fragile than we'd like to admit. This influence and manipulation creeps into our entire online experience. For example, every time you load a web page, you'll notice that the text appears first, alongside empty white boxes, and there's a split second before those boxes are filled up. What's going on in that split second is an auction, as part of what's called a real-time bidding system, or RTB system. For example, in Google's RTB system, what's going on behind the scenes in that split second is Google is announcing to their list of authorized buyers, who are the bidders plugged into Google's ad exchange, okay, this person just opened up her webpage, here's everything we know about her. She has red hair, she rants a lot about privacy, she likes cats, here's her device location, browsing history, and this is her inferred mood. Who wants to bid to put an ad in front of her? These authorized buyers have milliseconds to decide whether to bid and how much. This fire hose of data is sprayed at potentially thousands of entities, and the number of data points included about you can be staggering. Google knows a lot about you. Now, only one buyer wins the ad slot and pays, but potentially thousands get access to that data. Google doesn't make their authorized buyers list public, but they do publish a list of certified external vendors, which is a public-facing list of vendors like demand-side platforms, ad servers, analytics providers, etc., that Google has certified to interact with their ad system. This CEV list is the closest proxy that the public gets to knowing who is involved in this real-time bidding system. And if you scroll through the names of some of these vendors, you won't even find a Wikipedia page for many of them. A huge number have scrubbed themselves from the internet. It's a mix of ad companies, data brokers, and you can bet even government shell companies. And when you put two and two together, you realize that many of them are just sitting quietly in these auctions so that they can scrape this data to share or sell elsewhere, or use use for other purposes. Now, Google's terms of service doesn't allow that, but it doesn't matter, because once this data leaves Google's hands, they have no control over where it ends up. This real-time bidding system is just one behind-the-scenes mechanism of this influence economy. But this machinery of influence is everywhere, not just when you load a web page. When you go to watch a video, there are thumbnails next to the video suggesting what you should watch next, and you click on one if it looks interesting. What do you mean? Click on my video here. Those video thumbnails were not accidental. When you scroll a social media timeline, the posts that populate are intentional. Everywhere you go, you're seeing things that people have paid to put in front of you, hoping to nudge you in one way or another. Even search results, which can sometimes feel neutral, are arranged according to what someone else wants you to see. Why do I care if someone wants to influence me? So they want to sell me a new pair of shoes. So what? This system of manipulation isn't limited to simple commercial influence or companies that want you to buy things. It's filled with faceless entities paying to shape our thoughts, shift our behavior, and sway our votes. They work to bend our worldview, to manipulate our emotions, to make us hate other people. We need to come to terms with the reality that everywhere we go online, people are paying lots of money to try to manipulate us. And sometimes the intended outcome is actually polarization itself. This is where privacy comes into play. The more a company or government knows about us, the easier it is to manipulate us. And right now, the surveillance industrial complex knows us better than we know ourselves. How? Because we reveal our whole intimate life to them. We allow every email to be scanned and analyzed, every message to be read, every like, scroll, and post to be fed into a profile about us. We allow companies to scrape every browser click, every book we read, every piece of music we listen to, every film we watch. We let faceless entities know everywhere we go, whom we meet, what we do, and then they trace who those people meet, where they go, and what they do, until our entire social graph is mapped. In this current reality, it's easy to figure out exactly what will make us click, and the profiles created about us aren't just about facts. They're about state of mind. So Naomi is sad today, she'll be more susceptible to that kind of messaging. Push it to her now. Roger that. If the system can see that you're tired, lonely, or angry, it knows exactly when to time different nudges in your direction. So who are these faceless entities harvesting our lives and trying to influence us? It's not just platforms who experiment with outrage to keep us online. Everyone with resources uses these tools. Governments, parties, corporations, activist networks. There are entire government departments that study these manipulation strategies. When something goes viral, they try to trace where it started. Was it seeded by a hostile nation, a domestic political shop, or a corporation laying the groundwork for its next rent-seeking scheme? The mechanism is the same, and the target is each of us. The entire internet is filled with people competing for our attention, and some of the agendas of those involved are downright nefarious. These systems don't just predict what we like and hate, they actively shape it. And we have to start realizing that sometimes division itself is the intended outcome. Now, just under a decade ago, it was trendy to talk about filter bubbles. This idea that algorithms kept showing us more of what we already agreed with, so we became trapped in echo chambers. We assumed polarization was just the natural consequence of people living in separate informational worlds. For years, the filter bubble was the go-to explanation for polarization. But that story is only half right and dangerously incomplete. The real problem isn't just that we see different things, it's that we are being deliberately targeted. Filter bubbles were about limiting information so that we only ever saw half the story. Surveillance-driven targeting is about exploiting information to deliberately manipulate you. With enough data, entities can, with incredible accuracy, predict what will outrage you, when you're most vulnerable, and which message will make you react. This is a crucial shift. Polarization today isn't just a byproduct of passive algorithms. It's the direct result of an influence machine that knows us better than we know ourselves and uses that knowledge to bend us towards someone else's agenda. So what should we do now that we understand this? Well, first of all, it's about really acknowledging and coming to terms with the current reality. Awareness that this is going on is everything. We live in a world of deep fakes. We live in a world of sound bites taken out of context. We live in an era where it's easier than ever to generate AI fluff. If someone wants to make a point of view seem popular, they can instantly create thousands of websites all parroting the same slightly tweaked narrative. So when we go searching for information, it looks like everyone is in consensus. Volume now looks like truth, and repetition seems like proof. Both are incredibly cheap to manufacture. In this era of artificial interactions, manipulation, and engineered outrage, one of the most important things that we can do is not forget our humanity. Realize that the person you're fighting with might not actually be human. They might be a bot. And that story about that political candidate might have been taken completely out of context and deliberately targeted at you to make you angry. Online, we dehumanize each other, but we should instead remember how to talk. Ideas can be discussed without becoming triggers. They don't have to send us spiraling after 4 hours of doom scrolling. Fear is the mind killer. When something online pushes you to react, pause. Ask whose agenda this serves. Ask what context you might be missing. So, going forward, it's true, we are more polarized than ever, and it's largely because we've become completely transparent to those who profit from using our emotions against us. Privacy is our ally in this fight. The less companies and governments know about us, the harder it is for them to manipulate us. Privacy protects our autonomy in the digital age. Going forward, we also need to see each other as humans first, not avatars in someone else's propaganda war. The person you're arguing with was probably targeted by a completely opposite propaganda campaign. They've been manipulated too. We'll all be better off if we acknowledge this suffocating smog of manipulation around us and take steps to make ourselves harder to manipulate. And most importantly, we need to remember that we are independent thinkers with the power to make up our own minds. We don't need to be led by the mob around us and be a tool in their propaganda war. It's time to reclaim our autonomy. NBTV is a project of the Ludlow Institute, a non-profit research and media institute focused on advancing freedom through technology. If you want to support our mission or support our grants program, where we give grants to researchers so that they can uncover hidden surveillance in everyday tech, please visit ludlowinstitute.org/donate. A huge thank you to all of you who have supported us. It means the world. It really does make a difference. And I see all of those donations. I read through all of them. So thank you so much, and I am so glad that you are part of this privacy movement.